Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody had a fabulous Thanksgiving holiday. Hopefully you enjoyed some really great food with your friends and family. Whatever your plans were, hopefully they were nice and relaxing and you are starting this week feeling refreshed. I'm planning to share some of our adventures from Zion in a get ready with me video sometime very soon. But for today's video, I am going to help you save some money during the holidays. We are revisiting a video I shared a few weeks ago, 10 of my favorite luxury items that are worth the splurge. Things in my beauty routine that I consider to be non-negotiables. I will always spring for them. And at the time I mentioned I would also be sharing 10 luxury products that are not worth the splurge. These are products that are very expensive that I just don't think are worth it. They did not work for me. I do not recommend them. Anytime I talk about products that I don't love, it tends to open up the floodgates of negativity. I'm hoping that does not happen. These are just my thoughts and opinions. It's meant to be helpful and entertaining. If you love these products, that is amazing for you. They just don't work for me, and I find these videos really helpful. I think these are good conversations to have. You know, most of the time I'm sitting in this room filming, it's because I'm sharing something I purchased or something I would recommend you go out and purchase. There are plenty of expensive luxury items out there that aren't really worth it. Go ahead and get the pitchforks ready. This first one is going to hurt. I know it's a doozy and it has been at the top of a lot of people's holiday wish lists for the past few holiday seasons. The Dyson Airwrap is not worth the money. This is a controversial take, I'm willing to admit. A lot of people are going to be on either side of the issue, but I just cannot justify this product. I have one. My husband purchased an Airwrap for me several years ago for my birthday. I think I've used it less than a handful of times, and every time I haven't been overly wowed with the results. I've seen so many videos on the Airwrap. I've looked at so many tutorials. I've done my best, and it's just not something that really fits into my lifestyle. I think you really have to have the right level of patience. You also have to have the right hair type for this to really work for you. A lot of people love their Airwrap and they swear by it, and I think if you are an Airwrap girly, hear no evil, you have already tuned me out, you aren't listening anymore, because this is just something that works for you and that's great. It doesn't work for everybody, and I think it's marketed to everybody, and there are now so many better, less expensive options. If you are thinking about the Dyson Airwrap, you should 100% consider getting the Shark Flex Style instead. You're going to get basically the same results. They're very similar, comparable items for several $100s less. You have to really be willing to spend the time, not only the time to learn how to use it and kind of get the system down, but also it's just not a very fast style because you're not using intense heat. You're not using intense heat, which is better for your hair health. But you can also get mechanical damage using any hair tool. So it's not like you're going to get zero damage. Anytime you style your hair, there is a little damage. We're sticking with hair for now. I have no idea how this product has gone so viral and has managed to be all over social media because I've tried it, it's expensive, and I just don't think it's really worth the money. K18. Now this product is supposed to have incredible science behind it. I am all about technology, advancements. I love the idea of the science, and actually during one of my trips to Los Angeles with Sephora, we had the opportunity to learn from the product development team, and it was amazing listening to their seminar. They explained how the product works, how it actually repairs the bonds in the hair. It's really not designed to improve the appearance of the hair or the feel of the hair. It's meant to help repair damage, which should be right up my alley. As a color-treated hair person that has a lot of breakage, I need repair. I also need my hair to look and feel incredibly soft, and that's where I just struggle with this product. I really do. I want to believe that it works. I want to believe in the science, but in practice, in actuality, I hate it. I really do. I hate this product. They've sent me several bottles. I've tried it several times, and every time I'm forcing it really badly, and I hate the way my hair feels when I get out of the shower, because the way you use this K18 mask is you're supposed to skip conditioner. These directions get a little muddy because I've seen several Q&As with the brand where people have sent in questions and asked if they could use conditioner. And the actual brand has said that yes, you can, but the way you're supposed to do it is shampoo as normal, then you apply the K18, let it sit for 4 minutes, 2 to 4 minutes, I don't remember. It has to just sit on your hair, do its work. You can't add any other products in that time. And you're supposed to leave it on, but they've said that you can then go in with maybe a leave-in conditioner and it would be fine. I feel like the damage I'm causing my wet hair when I'm trying to brush it and blow dry it without any styling products, only the K18, is worse or just as bad, but definitely feels worse than the damage repair that I'm getting from the K18 product. I actually really love my Pat McGrath Labs Mothership eyeshadow palettes. I mean, how many of these have I purchased? How many times have I recommended them? And I think they are incredibly high quality. When it comes to splurging for luxury items, I have no problem spending money on something if I think it's really amazing. But at this point, I just simply cannot recommend ever purchasing these full price. I've purchased quite a few on launch day where she kind of throws out a few peanuts to the crowd. We usually get, I think, 10% off on launch date, but they are always going on sale, and I mean major markdowns on these palettes. I had to quickly look up the price because I know they raised them a few dollars. I think when I first started purchasing Pat McGrath Labs, they were $125. They're up to $128. Not terrible, just a $3 price increase in the last few years. And they're heavy. The packaging is outstanding. The formula is amazing. I have heard a few critiques here and there on the Pat McGrath Labs formula. I really love them. I am incredibly happy with all of the palettes that I've purchased. The mattes are amazing. The satins are incredible. She has some of the most unique duo and trio chrome, really pretty shimmers that are amazing for holiday parties, nights out, weekends. Typically not your go-to everyday palette, depending on your career and lifestyle. I find myself grabbing these for special occasions only, which is why I've found myself reconsidering some of my past purchases. A lot of them look very similar. You have a lot of close shades, maybe not identical, but I could probably live with one, maybe two of these palettes and skip the rest because I just don't really grab them. Even 20% off at Sephora, which is coming up during Gifts for All event, would take you close to $100, but I know she usually has, if you spend X amount of dollars, you can get 30% off, 40% off. And I wanna say I've seen a couple of her motherships going for closer to $50, $60. That seems far more reasonable. I would say $50 to $60, an amazing deal. I definitely would not be paying full price for any of the Mothership palettes. Moving right along to Chanel skincare, which I generally think is really underrated. I think their products are a lot better than most people realize, but there is one line in particular that I don't think is worth the splurge at all, and that is Sublimage. And it pains me to say this because the products themselves are really nice, but it has gotten so expensive. Many of you probably already know this story, but just in case anyone's new here, I actually started in the beauty industry several years ago when I worked at a Chanel beauty counter. I was the counter manager at the Green Hills Mall at Nordstrom 6 or 7 years ago, and it afforded me the opportunity to try a lot of the products. I was gifted a lot of products. I went through all of the brand trainings, and I learned a lot about Chanel skincare, makeup, fragrance, so I gained a greater appreciation for it. And at the time, I believe the Sublimage skincare line was around $350 for the moisturizers. Nowadays, they're close to $450. There are serums that are over $500. There's a night serum that's almost $1,000. And it is just way too expensive considering the main ingredient, their active ingredient, the backbone of all of the Sublimage products is vanilla planifolia, which is a stem cell taken from the vanilla plant. And it's harvested by hand in Madagascar, like most of the world's vanilla. And there is this beautiful, fanciful story about how Chanel takes care of all of the women who work the fields. And I do think the process is very intricate. It's very delicate. The vanilla is harvested in a very sustainable way. I think the overall production is fine. But if you were to talk to any leading dermatologist or esthetician, I mean, the main ingredient to look for is not vanilla planifolia. I think we just know too much about skincare now and the ingredients that truly work. Vitamin C, retin A, sunscreen. There are so many other ingredients. I mean, I could probably list 20 ingredients to look for in products that have nothing to do with vanilla. And I think if you are going to focus and feature your most expensive skincare line around one ingredient, it has to be one of the top leading botanicals or something that is proven by science and not just science funded by Chanel. Out of all of the Chanel skincare offerings, I would actually lean more towards Le Lift, or I think it's called Le Lift Pro. Now, I think that line is really interesting because they're using a plant-based ingredient that is meant to mimic, it's basically a plant-based retinol. I think something like that is a little bit more interesting because it's going to give you the cell turnover, which is basically what retin A does. It forces cell turnover so that you have fresh skin. It kind of keeps everything plump and new. When you get to the point where you're spending thousands of dollars on a skincare regimen that you're going to have to replace a couple times a year, you might as well just get your doctor on the phone, go ahead and get that facelift, get that mid facelift or the ponytail lift, do some sort of surgical tweak because at least then you will see a difference in your skin. It's just not worth it. Another easy place to save money within your beauty routine is tools. You do not have to spend a fortune to get really incredible makeup brushes that will last you decades, years and years. I know I've talked ad nauseum about the Sephora Pro Collection brushes, so I will spare you my rant, but they're amazing. But even when it comes to beauty blenders, you don't have to spend a lot of money on sponges. There are so many great brands. I swear by the Sephora Collection Pro sponge as well, but BK Beauty has some incredible brushes and they're always running really great discounts. They have several bundles where you can get a great deal. Rephr brushes are amazing if you prefer natural hair brushes with more of a hand-created Japanese flair. Besides makeup application tools, beauty tools in general can get incredibly expensive. This is the Shani Darden Pro LED Light Mask. It is listed at $1,900 and it has 3 stars. I haven't even looked at the reviews. It looks like it has 9. $1,900, that is not luxury, that is waste. And I'm really hoping that none of you watching were any of these 9 people who did not give this 5 stars. I mean, $1,900 is a little bit absurd because it's still an at-home mask. It's not going to give you the same results as an in-clinic treatment. You have the Dr. Dennis Gross mask sitting there for $455, a quarter of the price. I really like my LED mask. I think it's amazing. Would I spend $1,900? Absolutely not. And as much as I like my Dr. Dennis Gross mask, at least it's the whole face. They now have a separate lip mask for $150. You don't need something separate for the lips. You don't need something separate for every single body part. You just need the one product. You don't have to go crazy. I also do not like any of the at-home microneedling devices. One of the more popular is from Beauty Bio. It's the Glow Pro. We used to sell this at Nordstrom as well. I used one of these at-home micro rollers and I ended up getting a little infection. This was a long time ago, but I had an infection underneath my eye and it was just a little almost cyst that existed right below the skin. And it took months. It took months and months for it to finally go away. It had to slowly make its way to the surface. And I remember thinking that I had a clogged pore, maybe it was a pimple. I would sit there with knuckles and, try to get it out, which only made it get even bigger and inflamed. My entire cheek was swollen for a couple weeks. And even still, even once the swelling went down, I still had a little lump there and it just slowly but surely got smaller and smaller and smaller until it went away. And it was from one of those micro rollers. Now, was it my fault? Yes, I probably didn't clean it properly before I rolled my face. I don't think the rewards outweigh the risks. I wanted to make sure I said that correctly. There's too many variables, too many things can go wrong if you have really sensitive skin, if you have acne prone skin. There's a reason why these treatments are typically done in an office by a professional. Things can go wrong there as well. So it's not like you're completely risk-free if you have somebody else do it. You may not do it correctly. You're probably not going to do it enough. The needles really aren't going to penetrate deep enough. It's just Overall, not worth it. We're going back to the hair category for this next product. This has got to be one of the biggest beauty trends I've seen hands down recently. A huge category has been hair supplements that promote hair growth specifically. I cannot scroll any social media app without seeing some sort of video, review, commercial, promotion for Vegamore. Nutrafol is another one. There are probably others that are just not coming to mind. Now, I have not had a huge problem with hair loss in my life. Thank goodness. I feel very grateful for that. And I know this is really common, and it also is common at different points in your life. It could be hormonal, it could be post-pregnancy. What I don't like about supplements like this, the problem that I have, and I am definitely a supplement girly, I have no problem taking vitamins, but with Nutrafol, you have to take 4 of these pills every single day, and they are big pills. It is not an enjoyable experience whatsoever. You would have to take them basically indefinitely, and it's about $90. With tax, it would be well over $90 for one jar every single month. And you would have to continue taking them, otherwise you wouldn't see continued results. I don't like taking them. That to me has been the biggest turnoff. I said to myself, okay, they sent this to me. I want to test them out for myself so I can share my review. I don't like it. I don't find it enjoyable. And I know that's probably a silly complaint. In the past, I've taken the Hum Nutrition gummies, and I think it's maybe 2 gummies. That basically just gives you, I think, biotin, folate, maybe a few other things, basically just biotin. And I liked it. It was easy to do every single day. It was easy to make part of my routine. Whenever there's an obstacle in integrating a product into your routine, it just means it's that much easier to forget and to leave it out. I don't think this is a product that everybody should be taking, and I feel like it has been marketed so heavily. Like I said, I cannot escape these ads. I don't know, maybe it's just my For You page or my algorithm. You might not be experiencing this, but I feel like I see it everywhere, and it gets you thinking like, oh, this is something else that I need to do. I need to worry about how thick my hair is. There are always different insecurities, different problems that the beauty industry is finding to sell us more products. And this is something that I feel like I have to say it. If you do not have serious hair loss, you don't need to be spending $100 on vitamins every single month. The next product I have here to talk about is really a brand and could honestly be expanded to cover an entire category. If you watch a lot of my fragrance content, you know that I often talk about really expensive luxury niche fragrances, which have gotten more and more expensive every single year. I truly think some of these luxury houses are just raising the prices through the roof and seeing what they can get away with. I used to talk about House of Suage all the time. They were sending out so many PR packages every single month. There were just boxes and boxes and boxes, and it got to be a bit too much. But the reason I stopped talking about them and stopped promoting them was that I felt like there was a change. Somewhere along the line, the brand took a turn. I still really enjoy the fragrances. I still love their cupcake bottles. I think they have some limited edition bottles that are outrageously beautiful. They're magnificent. They started to have these big blowout sales where they would sell fragrances for 70% off, and then they started putting together these mystery boxes. I think that's where things started to take a turn, was with the mystery box, where you were guaranteed a full-size cupcake, and then they would just throw in what other random stuff they could, and they were charging several $100s for these boxes. I didn't like that. If I purchased this for $400 and then a couple weeks later it was 70% off, I wouldn't feel good about my purchase. I would actually feel kind of crappy about it, and it would turn me off from ever purchasing anything from the brand again. When the brand is the one undercutting themselves, I think it's hard to take them seriously when they then have a new fragrance launch and they try to sell it for full price. When you're giving deep discounts like that, I don't think you can truly call yourself a luxury house. So I stopped talking about their products. I didn't feel like I could genuinely share the fragrances and say, hey, this is new launch. It smells amazing. go out and spend $400 on it, especially since everything was sent to me complimentary. And in fact, they were sending out so much free product. And I, to this day, don't know of a single influencer who has ever so much as spent as a dime of their own money on House of Suage. So it almost became a brand that was solely influencer pushed, social media influencer driven. I didn't like that. I think it really took away from the brand. It certainly helped them grow, I'm sure. They went from really small and not recognizable to being all over every YouTube account. When I first discovered House of Suage, they had sent me an email, and I will never forget because it was the very first fragrance brand that reached out and offered to send me a fragrance complimentary. And to me, that was such a huge deal. I had just started talking about fragrances on my channel, so I felt very grateful and very fortunate. I remember looking them up and I saw they had collaborated with Neiman Marcus, and they had this really beautiful limited edition carousel cupcake with a whole carousel on top. It was so beautiful. And I thought, wow, this is really special. This is the epitome of luxury and class. And look, they're collaborating with Neiman Marcus. I'd never heard of the brand, but I was really interested to try the fragrance. I absolutely loved it. It was Whispers of Truth, an amazing fragrance. So it's a little bit sad for me now to look back and think, wow, my initial impression of the brand was that they were like top of the top, to then thinking of them as, you know, collaborating with Wonder Woman and Harry Potter and Disney and all of these other brands. And it just became a little bit gimmicky, and I started to feel less and less inspired and excited by their new launches. I stopped talking about the brand, so they stopped sending gifts, which I do not fault them for whatsoever. I think that it was probably a smart decision on their part. I always say things are not free. Free does not exist. No marketing professional is waking up one morning and thinking, gee, I should send Erin a box filled with free makeup just for fun, just to make her day. No. It might not be sponsored, but there's always some sort of expectation of an exchange taking place. It's always a business transaction anytime an influencer is sent anything for free. If you're going to spend a few $100s on a fragrance, I think you should go for something really niche luxury, something really exclusive that's going to hold its value months from now, years from now even. That being said, I think some luxury niche fragrance houses need to come back down to reality. They need to touch grass a little bit. I think the prices have gotten outrageous. I was just looking at the Saks website, and their most expensive beauty items are all fragrance. I think that's probably true for any department store. But there's a Roja fragrance for $2,000, close to a couple $1,000s. And here's the real gag. Some of the most expensive fragrances that I've been sent that I have in my collection are not very good. They're some of my least favorite launches. Just say. And that completes the list of products that are definitely not worth the splurge. I would recommend saving your money and springing for something else instead. But hopefully you enjoyed the conversation and you liked the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. I love hearing from you guys as well. So if there's anything that you've purchased that you do not think is worth the splurge, drop it in the comments. We will keep the conversation going there. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned. I'm not going to link what's mentioned, but I will link any better alternatives. I will also link the products used on my face today down below in the description box. I will also pin them to the video. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.